Hello everyone, I have a new toy. Although this is no toy, this is a serious machine. It's the Electron Analog Four Mark II. It's been out for a while. I've been thinking about getting one. I mentioned it in my last video or the one before that. This is replacing the Pioneer Toraiz AS-1 as analog synth in my setup, the live setup, which consists of the Digitakt, the Digitone, the Roland TB03, and now, instead of the AS-1, the Analog Four. And basically the reasons for this are, I like the sequencer on the Digitakt and Digitone so much, the Electron sequencer. I wanted to have it on the analog synth as well. Makes programming easier because the sequencer on the AS-1 is very limited. Also, the tweakability of this machine is a lot better than the AS-1. The AS-1 has a few dedicated knobs that do important functions, but there's not really any sound design. Well, it's possible, but it's not a lot of fun with the menu diving. If you only use the front panel, you can use an editor. But you may disagree with me, but when you use an editor, or when I think about using an editor in the PC, I might as well just use a VST, such as Diva. So although for live that would also mean bringing the laptop instead of a dedicated box. But anyway, another reason is that this can actually put out CV. So I'm gonna hook it up to the DFAM over here, see if I can get that to work, and I will do a video about that, because up until now I haven't had the possibility of actually syncing the DFAM to any of my other gear. So that's going to be really cool. And of course this has 4 voices, and it's not a fair comparison with the AS-1 really, because that's just one voice. This is quite a bit more expensive, as you'd expect from a high-end, high-quality, built like a tank analog polysynth, which is what this is. But of course it's also a multi-timbral synth that can do 4 tracks of sequencing, as well as sequencing of the effects on a separate track and sequencing of CV that can be output. So yeah, I mean, if you want to know more about this glorious box, then of course there are lots of reviews and videos online where people give their thoughts. So this is not going to be a review or a tutorial, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a track idea with these 3 machines, and that's basically what I've been doing since I got this, which was earlier this week. And it's my plan to just continue doing this, jamming on these machines, recording some audio into Ableton, saving all the patterns, and then going back when if I decide I want to work on that track idea further, and then only then move it into Ableton Live, and just get more of a hardware workflow going, with the additional advantage that it's basically the same setup as the live thing I'm working on. So yeah, let's just get into it, and let's start with the Analog 4, because it's a 4-voice analog synth, but it wouldn't be an Electron box if it weren't also a groove box. You can have 4 tracks of drums, analog synth drums. Of course it doesn't play samples, but that's the Digitakt's domain. So let's get into it. So if you double tap on a track, you go into the sound browser, and you can actually filter. And let's find a kick drum. There's some kick drums in here. Kick in the gut. Yes, let's do that. This is simple enough. Here we go. And what I do I like the Digitone for basses, for sub basses. It's quite simple. This is let's see, just the basic sound. The sound you heard before was from the previous pattern. So oh yeah, one more thing. MIDI routing wise, Digitakt is going into Digitone. The MIDI and the MIDI out is going into the Analog 4. I could use the second out, the MIDI through on the Digitakt to send it to the Analog 4 as well. I'll look into it later. Maybe there's something to be gained regarding latency. I don't know. Sounds in sync to me. Of course, I have to play on that one. So, okay, a bass. Now what I'll do is just draw a bunch of notes. 2 octaves down. Copy that. Okay, let's give it some drive and make the amp decay shorter. A little bit of attack time on it. Let's filter it down a bit. A little bit too much. Without the filter and without the drive. I want to get rid of that clickiness, and it's sort of difficult with these low range sounds. Get rid of that clickiness. Maybe the bass width filter will help here. Not really. Trying some more different envelope shapes. This is something that's easy in Ableton Live, because you just put a nice EQ on it. I use the Fab Filter one. Anyway, what we could do is have a little bit of FM going on. Why not? Give it some, instead of getting rid of the clickiness, let's make it a little bit more clicky and punchy. Why not? Let's go back to the Analog 4. Track 2, double tap. Let's change the filter. So kick, deselect that. Hi-hats, yes. Let's see. This is nice. There are a few more ones. They're not all great, but I like this one. Okay. It sounds fast. 3, 7, 11, 15. Here we go. Yeah. Let's give that some reverb. It's such a joy to have these effects. The AS-1 has effects, but again, these are much easier to control. The AS-1 has more effects, but who cares? Because I know my way around the Diggies, the Digitakt brothers or sisters. The Analog 4 is easy to learn. It's not the same. It's actually an older product, even though this is the Mark II version. There's some differences in the operating system, but yeah, it's just very nice. Okay, track 3. Enough talking, more music making. Double tap. Go back to the filter. Deselect the hi-hat. Let's go to percussion. Let's Let's go to the top here. Well, don't know whether that's percussion, but that's percussion. A snare, tight snare. I need something weird. Why not this? Cow sound. Let's give that some reverb. Whew. That's one powerful reverb. Octave up and down. Let's see what the filter does. That's a band pass. Let's just record something. So record and play. Don't think that's quantized. That sounds awful. Something like that. Let's see, we can do something with the filter. We have two filters, also great. So there's a band pass. Ooh, yeah. Let's reduce the resonance here. So this one, the top one, is a Moog style ladder filter, as I understand it. And the other one is like a state variable or something. That's a multi-mode filter. Can do a lot of different things. Can be a band pass, a high pass, a notch, a low pass, of course. Okay, so instead of doing this by hand, of course, the LFO. Two LFOs. Let's see, destination of LFO1. Filter frequency, yay. Okay, a little bit depth, otherwise nothing happens. Lower the speed here. The multiplication. Again, like the other Electron machines, this has this weird way of dealing with the speed of the LFO. It's a nice sound. Okay, we have one track left on the Analog 4. And let's do something different here. So, that's not an initial. Sorry, that's not an initialized patch. That's definitely something else. I thought, well, let's go for something random. Is there actually an init patch? There is if you start a new project. I think you get an empty patch. And it doesn't matter, we can just change this. Oh, now it is, or not. No, it's just not selected the old sound, but the new sound. Okay, well, let's first turn off this reverb. This does the same trick as Digitakt and Digitone, which I mentioned in a video a few weeks ago, where you can actually randomize. So the oscillator 1 page, yes, and you can see random parameters. Oscillator 2. Okay, let's do it. That's interesting. Let's give it a big reverb after all. Oi! Too loud. Let's do some filtering here. Maybe, no, that's resonance. The high pass here. And a little bit less resonance here. And the amp, let's make this like a perpetually sustaining thing. That's cool. So let's set the LFO on this one to not filter frequency, but filter resonance, filter 1 resonance, because remember we have 2 filters, yay. Again, make it slow. Let's give it a high depth. Let's make that sucker scream. And we need some notes, of course. I'm just going to put in a very long note here on the first, so the note page and the length. Oh, that's not the length. This one is. Actually, this is a parameter lock. It doesn't have to be. I could just give the long length like this. Infinite. I know, 64. The pattern is only 16 long. Of course, I can make the pattern longer, but I'm not going to bother. So let's see, mute these other ones. Still has too much low end, doesn't it? What I can do is go to the effects track. And a reverb. I think there's too much low in the reverb, because I already used the high pass filter on the sound itself. And I am going to make the pattern longer. Interestingly, the length of the pattern, oh page, I'm pressing the wrong thing here. I haven't done this before. 64. That's the maximum. Okay. Let's see. Go back to the sequencer here. The length. That's not the length. Velocity. This is the length. So 64. Okay. But now I guess every page has a trig on it. I'm making this up as I'm going along, as usual, as you can see. Because this is a little different from how the Digitakt and Digitone work, and to be honest, I'm not sure. Let's just play this. Now it's on page 2. Let's see. Now it's gone. Okay, put this in again. Keeps re-triggering, I guess. Well, doesn't really matter. Let's make this a little bit less. I want it to be more like a constant droning sound. Thought I had a note length. Again, velocity. I'm also getting used to the fact that this has 10 rotary encoders instead of 8. Anyway, let's just keep it like this. Let's unmute the other tracks. Finally, let's make something on the Digitakt. Let's just make something. Source, yes. Randomize. I like this sound, but it's too similar to what I already have in there. can make this into a little hi-hat, snare almost, right? Maybe the low pass, the high pass filter, sorry. Amp, decay. There we go. It's a nice little, what do you call it? Hi-hat, shakerish. Let's make a 16th note pattern out of this. Maybe some volume automation. Some panning. Okay, so we have that. Let's see, so that's the kick. That's the hi-hat. Let's mute that for now. Let's have this in the beginning and mute this one. We'll have the sub bass on here. That's the only thing we have here. We have the other hi-hat on here. Let's mute that one as well. And let's just get into it. Let's record a little thing here. Right. So that is the Analog 4. I am now almost fully electronified. I don't know whether I am an electronaut or an electronut. Not sure. I have 3 Electron boxes and I'm pretty happy with what they do. So that's all for today. As always, I thank you very much for watching and I shall see you on the next one. Bye bye.